Okay, welcome everyone to this ETS workshop. The topic today is hybrid classrooms and meetings. First, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Eduardo Rogliati. I am the Learning Technology Specialist here at ETS, and joining me is my colleague and friend, Amir. Amir, you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. My name is Amir Dorutian, and I work in the ETS as a learning designer.
Great, thank you. So, of course, we would like to start with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that UBC Vancouver is situated on the traditional, unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And we're very grateful for being on these lands. You can find more information about First Nations and Indigenous territories on nativeland.ca. Okay, so what is the purpose of this workshop we're doing today? More like a presentation, really. We will provide you with information and strategies on how to prepare and manage hybrid classrooms and meetings at the Faculty of Education at UBC. So that's the goal. The goal is that when this presentation finishes, you have a good understanding of the different things that you can do for preparing and managing hybrid classrooms and meetings. And this is a complex, very complex topic, really. There's a lot of information, so we're going to be just like touching the surface of many things, and then you can always connect with us if you have more questions or you want to work in a project with us. So the agenda, the items we will be looking at today are these. So first we'll speak about pre-session planning and the principles for that, then selection of space and tools. These two sections will be the bulk of the presentation. And then we will quickly go over considerations when facilitating hybrid classrooms and meetings, then post-session tasks such as editing, storing, and distributing recordings. And finally, we'll provide some information about the services that we offer, we, ETS, and also UBC AV to support hybrid teaching sessions and also hybrid meetings. Okay, so we're going to get started with pre-session planning. And Amir, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Eduardo. Okay, so before we go over the available spaces and tools for hybrid meetings here in the Faculty of Education, I think it would be useful to have an overview of the principles of hybrid meetings and classroom. All right, let's start with what hybrid means in this context. Hybrid meetings are conferencing and collaboration sessions that connect on-site attendees with remote participants. So hybrid classroom incorporate in-person learning and virtual learning using tools like learning management system like Canvas, as we use in UBC, video conferencing like Zoom, and asynchronous learning like using recorded lectures for classes. So as you can see, the key characteristics of hybrid classroom is a mix of in-person and online instruction, which each type of instruction complementing the other. We have several models for hybrid instruction. In this workshop, we are going to mostly focusing on concurrent hybrid, in which in-person and remote students attend the class simultaneously. So with that, let's go over the pros and cons of hybrid meetings and classes. The advantages of hybrid setting could be divided into instrumental and pedagogical. Some of the instrumental advantages of hybrid classroom include alleviation of classroom space constraint by replacing in-class contact hours with online activities. Also, building capacity and maximizing the use of instructional resources is could be a characteristic of hybrid meeting. Also, expanding access and options for students, because they have the option to be on-site or remote. And finally, acting as an intermediary step between in-person and fully online courses. So what are the pedagogical advantages of hybrid classroom? Hybrid classroom could leverage the unique affordances of both in-person and online settings and technologies. Hybrid teaching integrates out-of-class with in-class activities. And finally, hybrid classroom offer opportunities for creative teaching and multiple modes of engagement. Of course, like any other setting, hybrid meetings and classroom involve several challenges. Here, we talk about some of the common ones. The first challenge is time zone. It could be hard to find meeting times to accommodate students who are located in various time zones. Setting up hybrid classroom on your own as a teacher could be challenging and may need an IT technician. Teachers who are new to hybrid teaching may find it challenging to simultaneously manage both on-site and online activities. Learning activities need to be carefully planned to be equally effective and engaging for both on-site and remote students. Courses that are interaction-based or use a high level of active learning require more support, including careful consideration of approach and technology to ensure an equitable experience for both remote and on-site students. The next one is technical challenges. As you can imagine, technical challenges could be especially disruptive in hybrid settings. Mixing the discussion between online and remote students could involve technical challenges, especially with audio quality. Teachers of hybrid classroom may find that activities across the two modalities takes more time than expected. And finally, hybrid classroom requires specialized technology, especially for courses that employ active learning approaches, so that instructors need to be trained and supported when it comes to technical setup. It goes back to the requirement of a technician. So now that we know about some of the most common challenges, let's talk about the consideration to address those challenges. Again, it would be helpful to divide these considerations into instrumental and pedagogical. So let's go over the instrumental consideration. First of all, choose tools that are reliable and simple to use for you. In this way, you can just eliminate a range of problems that could come just because of the technology that you're using. Make sure to differentiate activities for on-site and remote students. Make sure that everyone has access to the same assignments and resources. Make sure to explore and use web-based tools for collaboration. Communication is extremely important in hybrid classes. Make sure to communicate clearly and consistently. Try to connect to remote students by scheduling video chats so that they feel your presence with them. Now let's go over some general pedagogical consideration for hybrid classroom. An important consideration that is easy to overlook is knowing what exactly you want your student to do during the hybrid class. This helps you plan for the technology you need and the way you manage your time. Second, clearly outline your expectation for engagement during class. Offer advice about any follow-up activities after class that you have in mind. Share your plans with the student in advance, and whenever possible, record the session. So as you notice, most of the consideration here relate to clear communication and making sure that everybody is on the same page in the hybrid class or even a hybrid meeting. All right, so with that, we are going over the selection of space and tools available in the Faculty of Education. I'm going to hand it over to Eduardo, who is going to take over.
Thank you, Amir. And I was going to say, those are very great tips that you've shared. And something that I thought that was very interesting was that concept that you have there of equitable experience, because I think that can be one of the the things that an instructor can miss, or one of the real challenges. How do I make sure that the students that are in person joining online have the same level of attention and the same quality experience as the people who are joining us in person?
Absolutely. And I think as a like going back to my own experience in a hybrid class, I think it's very important that especially if you're a remote participant, you can miss a lot of things that as a teacher you might not even think about. So it's very important to be careful about what you're communicating to everyone.
Yeah, something that comes to my mind when I think about that is even kind of like doing like a prototyping before actually, starting with a course or a plan that you have, just to make sure that from all the ends, the learning that you intend to happen is happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then also, I think like one of the key points is to understand that this is really a different experience. It's not the standard learning experience that we might be used to, but we're really entering like a whole new dimension of learning. So it has like different dynamics and different things that we have to take into consideration.
I love your point about the prototyping thing, or like especially if teachers are new to this, it could be a huge cognitive load just to think about the technology rather than your teaching. So it's going to take away from your energy and focus that you have to put on your teaching. So it's very important to become comfortable with the technology and with the setting.
Yeah, and that's one of the main points, that it really involves like a new digital literacy, even for students too, like new set of skills. So that's always one of the challenges of like going into online learning and online teaching, but it's part of it. And I think thankfully today, and also after COVID, more people understand these concepts and are more interested and aware of the affordances and interesting things that you can do with these technologies and these new like learning methods and environments.
Exactly. And as we can see, even though we don't have the restriction that we had in COVID, we continue to have hybrid classes all over the place. So
Yeah,
it means that it worked in some way.
Yeah, definitely. I know that many institutions have decided, even after COVID, to take on like a hybrid approach because they've seen some of the affordances and good things that come out of it. Great. So, okay, let's go next to the next step. So now we're going to be speaking about the selection of space and tools. So this is to provide some information of what spaces we have at the Faculty of Education that facilitate this kind of experiences, meaning hybrid meetings and hybrid classrooms. And we're also going to be talking about some of the tools, the technologies that we are using at UBC and that you can use at UBC if you want to engage in this kind of strategies. Now, this is something that will have a lot of information, so I'm going to just like touch on the surface of what we have, but we'll be providing some links as well where you can go in and see much more detail. So I'm going to like show some classrooms and different spaces and just briefly describe their characteristics, but in the links you can see all the details, and I'll quickly show that too, how it looks in one of the websites. Okay, so what are the Faculty of Education spaces for hybrid learning and meetings? So as you know, we have two buildings for the Faculty of Education. One is the Neville Scarf building, and then we have the Ponderosa. So let's look what we have in Scarf. So in a Scarf, we have Scarf 100. This is like the main lecture hall classroom. And here we have a lot of technologies that facilitate hybrid learning. So for instance, as you can see in the first picture, we have like multiple screens, and we also have cameras that are facing, multiple cameras that are facing the teacher, of course, and also like cameras that are facing the students. And this is a good way in which students that were probably not in person, they could connect online and get that experience that they are in the classroom as well. Especially if you can see the instructor from different angles, they can also like zoom into the instructor, you have like good quality audio. Then if let's say a student in the classroom is asking a question, you can also see that student. So that kind of creates that feeling of hybrid learning. Then we also have, this is probably one of the most interesting, if you are working at SCARF, is the flexible learning studios. So we have 2 rooms located in the lower level, which are called flexible learning studios. And here you can use, it's really like a flexible room, as the name indicates. And here we can get some technologies, for example, the Zoom card, as you can see in the picture on the right side. And we can also like bring different technologies that you can get from AV or from us to create these hybrid setups. So for example, in this picture, this was a hybrid presentation, and you can see on the right, we have 3 speakers, and the 4th one, or actually I think we might have 4, and the 5th one was joining us remotely. So you can see we put the Zoom card there, and we had the other speaker, even in a kind of like a real size, that indicates that facilitates the feeling that she was also there with us. And we also have a camera, so to record the speaker, and a microphone. So all of that creates that kind of experience. Then SCARF 1006, this is also like a flexible learning studio. So it's equipped with technologies, and also you can move the furniture and create interesting ways of teaching. Then regarding meetings, we have SCARF 309. So this is a meeting room, a conference room, same thing, has the technologies, has the cameras, has the microphones, the screen, of course, and you can book these spaces. So all of these spaces that I'm showing here can be booked, right? Just one of the limitations is that these 2 rooms cannot be booked at the same time. You can only book one. Okay, there has to be always one that is being used free for the students. So we'll provide links to this so you can later learn more about that. And then, of course, we have the SCARF classrooms, the main classrooms here. We have like the main basic technologies, like the projector, the possibility to connect your computer, but you can always like connect with us or AV to get a kit, so you can make recordings and you can create the hybrid settings. Okay, and then we have Ponderosa. So what rooms do we have in Ponderosa that are useful to do hybrid or classrooms or hybrid meetings? So these are very interesting, very cool features. This is Ponderosa 1008, and this classroom, as you can see, is consists of various independent hubs for the students to connect to engage in projects. So it's not like the regular classroom in which you just see like the desks and the chairs and that's it. But here we have like more like independent sections for students to get together in groups and work in a project. So, and each one of these like independent spots for the students is equipped with technology. So you can see that each part here has a screen. They also have a camera, and then the technology is very interesting because the teacher can connect to any of these like groups, and then they can display that on the main screen, and a lot of different interesting things can happen. So this picture, for example, shows this in more detail. You see, like the students can get here together, and they will have a camera, they will have a screen as well, and they can connect. No need of using a cable. All can be done through Wi-Fi.
I had the chance to see this place. It's really, really cool. I have so many options for, especially for hybrid classes that you want to have teamwork between the on-site and the remote student. We were talking in the principle, we were talking about audio quality as a big challenge. As you can see, I don't know if you can see in this, I think in the previous slide. There are microphones hanging from the ceiling, so that actually resolved the audio problem. It's a very cool space and have lots of options.
Yeah, of course, one of the things we have to think about is the quality of audio, and that's usually one of the challenges. So here you can see how the ceiling, as Amir was mentioning, we have this little thing here is the camera, right? So that can be directed at the instructor if we have people joining from another location. And even if someone was joining from another location to work with a specific group, they could be in one of these groups, and they can connect with the rest of the group, through the camera and also through the microphones. We have a question from the audience. Yes.
Sorry, it's not a question. I thought that maybe you're going to move to another space. Just to mention that in terms of what the instructor can use, it's important to mention that they also have the opportunity to use multiple screens. So they can have maybe part of the presentation on one screen, they can have video on the other screen, and so on, so that it's possible to share online and in the classroom the same material and resources.
Yes, fantastic. This can be done. Great, thank you. This is another room in Ponderosa, so this is 1001, and as you can see, it also has like a lot of flexibility regarding how the furniture is placed, and we'll see a little diagram later that shows how this can be changed. But here, same thing. We have like different technologies. We have the microphones. We have the multiple projectors too. We also have a document viewer, as you can see. And these rooms also come with lavalier microphones and different technologies that can be used to enhance the quality of the teaching in a hybrid setup. So this is Ponderosa 1002. Similar technologies. I think that even a couple of days ago, we went there to see them, and now they have this camera that follows the speaker. So that also can enhance the sense of presence for someone who is watching the class from connecting from from online, so they can see the movement and kind of like feel more engaged and that they're actually there following the teacher. So this shows how the desks can be rearranged depending on the learning approach or the learning strategy that a teacher might have for a session. Amir, you would like to say something?
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to say, so we were talking about you need to, for a hybrid class, you need to know exactly what you want to do. And not only that, but like what you want the on-site student to do and what you want the remote student to do. And that is going to help you decide what kind of room that we have at the Faculty of Education would be appropriate for your purpose. But also, in those rooms, what kind of setup would be the best for your purpose and for your teaching? So those are the considerations that you need to have in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. And if you're not sure about how that works, you can always connect with us and we can do a consultation with you so we can think of what are the best strategies to accomplish your teaching goals, and the ideas that you have in mind. So this room, this is Ponderosa 1003, and you can see similar setup regarding technologies. So mostly the same technologies that can be useful for teaching online, and then just like different the desks are different, and you can have like interesting different layouts that you can use, also depending on the learning strategy that you have and the teaching strategy. Now, if you want to learn more about these rooms, we'll be providing this document that has links to all the different rooms that we're looking at here, and that has more information about these specific technologies and descriptions that you might find interesting. So, for example, if we look at one of them, let's see this one. This will take you to a page. Oops. Where you can see more pictures. And also contains information, the specific technologies that you'll find there. And yes,
Yeah, so these actually should be part of your plan for the hybrid session. Just going over, see what's possible, and like it kind of feed each other. Like your plan for activity that you have and the affordances of the spaces that we have, they need to interact in your planning, and then you come up with the best output.
Yeah, and these rooms are available for the faculty of education. Maybe your department is not in Ponderosa, it's in Scarf, but you can still connect and see what are the possibilities for booking. And as we were discussing before, even if you accessing the Ponderosa Commons is more difficult, the flexible learning spaces in the Scarf building are actually great to create in hybrid environment. So you can always connect with us and we'll help you to set up something there. Okay, now regarding meetings, we have the conference room in Ponderosa. This is 1306. And this is a very interesting room. We recently went and saw it. And it has very useful technologies. For example, same as we saw in the other room in Ponderosa, the other classroom. This has microphones on the ceiling. Also has like 2 cameras that follow the speaker, and then multiple ways to connect in equipment in the actual rooms for the conference. Anything that you would like to add, Amir? Your impressions when we visited this space?
Yeah, I was thinking that probably these spaces would be good for hybrid classes or meetings that are mostly focused on on-site people, so that the remote participant are going to have the best experience, viewing and hopefully be part of, like feel their presence in the meeting over video conferencing. Yeah.
Yes, I think we got that impression when we went there, like really like as the camera was following us,
Yeah, so it's better for like meeting than for classes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then also in Ponderosa, we have 1306. So this is the sorry, I put the same number for both of them. I'll make that correction later on in the information, the video description. But this is another room that we have, a conference room in Ponderosa. Okay, and now regarding the technologies that we can use for hybrid learning and also for meetings. At UBC, we work with Zoom mainly. This is a great tool that allows us to connect as we're doing here today, for example. And Zoom can be you can control Zoom in very interesting ways to facilitate a hybrid meeting or a hybrid classroom. So I'm going to show an example later in this presentation where I'm going to describe how we use the different features that Zoom has to create the best hybrid setting possible. Because sometimes you will want to spotlight people and you will like to pin people and play with the settings so everything looks as if people were joining us from outside, but they're there, and different things that we can do. And of course, we have
before you go, I think it's important to have in mind when we were talking about the principle. We were saying use reliable and easy to use technology. So have that in mind when you're seeing the available technology and see which one actually works for you.
Exactly, yeah. And the good thing here is that UBC, the Faculty of Education, actually has great technology. So the classrooms and also the technology that AV can provide is high quality technology that will allow you to have the best results possible. So like we see in this picture, they have gathered here some of the technologies that are available. Of course, the controllers to control the different audio inputs and video inputs. And these are quite simple to use, and AV can actually give you a tutorial on how to use them. You can book a session with them, and in advance, they will explain how to use these technologies. Of course, we can do the same. We can always give support in that regard. And then good microphones and cameras, document viewers, and such.
So and I think AV is going to set going to offer the service for setting up the room, not for every session, but maybe in the first couple of sessions, they're going to do that for teachers, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So they
Yeah.
will be more on the side of providing the technology. Of course, if a user has no idea on how to use the technology, they can explain how to use it, and we can also like participate in that for sure. And we can even like help more with coming up with the whole strategy and offering the assistance during the sessions. So that's something that we'll be covering at the end of this presentation of what are the specific things that AV can do and ETS can do and how you can connect with us. So two technologies that AV can share or lend is the Zoom card and the DIY kit. So the Zoom card will allow you to connect directly to Zoom through the technology. It also has a camera and it can be very useful. And then we have the DIY kit. The DIY kit, as you see in the picture, it includes a camera, different microphones and technologies that you would need, basically AV technologies. Now, we also wanted to mention that we at ETS have a 360 camera. This is a technology that we recently acquired to actually explore how we can create a more immersive experience when having meetings for the people who are joining us online. So this camera has as the name indicates, it will give you like a complete view of everyone who's in the meeting, and that can create a more immersive experience. So it's not just the camera will give you like that complete shot, but you can also like change in between different shots, and the camera follows the speakers and can zoom in, and you can do like different dynamic things that are quite interesting. And it also contains many omnidirectional microphones, meaning that it catches the sound in all directions. And it can also like focus on specific points of sound. So if someone's speaking, it will zoom in, so to speak, into the speaker, and the person who is joining us from online can clearly hear who is speaking. Also, will move into that person, right? So these kind of technologies are designed to facilitate that feeling of immersion for everyone who's joining online. And this is something that we not as AV, we do not lend equipment, but we're very happy to allow you to explore this if you want to try it out in a session. Great, so now we'll move to point number 3. That's going to be considerations when facilitating hybrid classroom and meetings. And Amir, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Eduardo, for introducing this space and the technology. I think that was very useful. So with that, here we are going to go over consideration when facilitating hybrid classroom and meeting. So in the first part, we went over the instrumental and pedagogical considerations when we're planning a hybrid meeting or classroom. Here, we are going to focus on the issues of engagement, accessibility, and inclusiveness in hybrid setting, whether it's meeting or a classroom. So with that, I'm going to. So an important question here is how to engage participants in hybrid classroom. Because we have a bunch of students who are joining remotely, so we have to consider what we're going to do to make sure everyone feels engaged and everyone is engaged. So here are some ideas to help you address this question. Building clear structure that help a student understand expectation, what needs to get done, and how to engage ensures true engagement. So it's not just attendance. You have to make sure that everybody is on the same page on how to have presence in the classroom. This is even more important if a student lose internet access, join late, or miss a class. It is important that these students know where to go and when to ensure they don't miss learning time. The other thing is, as with in-person learning, supporting the student to take ownership of their learning through choice can help build a sense that they are part of the process. And this is very important. It has a very important say in how successful your hybrid classroom is actually. People feel that They're part of the process of making it successful. So it is important to give a student choices about how they participate and engage with the content and with each other. Many students may deal with noise in their home or in the space that they are joining from, or may be uncertain about how to engage, or they may get nervous speaking in the class, or may have technical issues. Allowing a student to respond, share, and participate in non-verbal way enables them to engage more often and with less risk. So I think we also talked about the multiple modes of commenting in the principle. This is actually an elaboration on that. And finally, hybrid collaboration must be done strategically. Set clear expectation, create roles for the student, and offer several opportunities for practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think here what is very interesting is the first point, Amir, of the clear and consistent directions. Because if this is something that is something new that not a lot of people might be familiar with, setting those rules from the very beginning and those explanations of how things were going to work is essential.
Exactly, and I think when we have two types of students in terms of how they join, we need to have what I call adaptive mentorship. Like you have to be adaptive in terms of when it comes to the remote student, you have to be more careful about the fact that the question that if they are on the same page with the on-site student. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's go over some strategies for creating inclusive hybrid classroom. We try to cover accessibility in the same space as well. So the first thing, which again could be overlooked, is acknowledge the student names and their preferred pronoun. I think it's an extension of a principle that we need to use in any type of setting or any type of classroom, but it is especially important here because there was a reason in the first place that the class or the meeting is hybrid. It might be because there are so many participants from other places, and this is going to be not a shortcut, but a very good strategy to make them seen and part of the class. Related to that is try to learn international student original name for the same reason that I said before, the first point. Set rules on language used in the class when addressing topic related to race. Again, it's an extension of any type of classroom. Enhance social connection between on-site and remote students in order for everybody to feel seen and connected to the class. Teach in a variety of ways. It is important that you use different modes of teaching, even adding probably some asynchronous component to your teaching when it comes to hybrid classes to make sure that you're catering to all students. Consider slow internet when planning activities. This is also, I mean, it's my personal experience that so many teachers actually overlook this and add components to their plan that is virtually impossible to do in places with the slow internet. So have that in mind. Consider, allow for multiple modes of commenting. We were talking about that some people may not feel comfortable speaking in front of class, especially remotely. So make it possible for everyone to comment in a verbal or non-verbal way. And last but not least, whenever possible, use live captioning. With a slow connection, with technical glitches, with all those sorts of challenges, it is important to have, if you can, to have live captioning. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Eduardo again, talking about this wonderful picture that is going to be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir. Yeah, so here we just wanted to quickly show how a hybrid setup can be done in one of the rooms in SCARF. This is one of the flexible learning studios. And here, this was a very interesting setup. It was for a meeting, in this case, not a classroom, but it could be used for something similar for a classroom. And what we had here was a presentation, a meeting presentation, and we had some people joining us from online, right? So we located the Zoom card here. In the front on the left side, we have all the in-person participants, and here on the right, we had all the online participants. Now in the image, you can only see one person because at this point, only one person had connected, but eventually we have like 10 people. So this connects to what I was mentioning about how you can use the Zoom controls. So what we had to do here was to pin all the participants who were joining us online. So eventually we could see all the in-person participants and all the online participants and create that feeling that we were all like together in the same space, so to speak. So, but it was not just about that, because we also had like the presentation, obviously, the PowerPoint presentation that was being used. And we also wanted the online participants to see that. So that means that we had to connect with another computer and make sure that from the presenter's perspective, the sharing screen was being displayed for the online participants. So as you can see, there's a lot of thinking that has to happen on how the people who are in person will see the content, meaning the presentation, and also the participants, and also how the online participants will see the content. And also the online participants could see the people in the meeting because we were using the 360 cameras, you can see here. So this was very interesting to play with the different, to think about how the experience would be for the people who were online and the people who were in person, because these are like different audiences. So even though that can look quite complex and we use like 4 computers to achieve that, that's why ETS is here. So at some point, you have something like this in mind for a meeting or for a classroom, you can always connect with us and we'll come up with the ways in which we can achieve these interesting setups. So we can ensure that everyone has a high quality experience, both the people joining in person and the people joining online. And this connects to what Amir was mentioning in the beginning, right, Amir, of the equitable experience.
Exactly. I think it's actually a key phrase that you have to have in mind when you're planning for a hybrid meeting, or especially a hybrid classroom. Making sure everyone's going to have the same, like, or close to same instruction, and don't be afraid of using the technology and asking for help. Like here we have so many spaces and so many technologies, and it's just you need to use them.
Yeah, and we actually have a lot of fun coming up with this strategies on how we can make an equitable experience for everyone. So for us, it's also very engaging. Perfect. Now we don't have much time left, but the last 2 points will be fairly quick. So this is post-session tasks such as editing, storing, and distributing recordings. So Zoom, when we record in Zoom, then we can easily share content. One interesting feature of Zoom that recently came out is that it allows you to record multiple files, really. By default, when you make a Zoom recording, you will get the the actual recording when you see the people and you see the video all in one file. But if you go into the settings and go into recording, you'll find some options, especially in the cloud recording section, and where you can get multiple files. So you can get up to 9 files, I think, to include the speaker view, the gallery view, the shared screen, all as separate files instead of having everything together in one file. Now, the reason why this is enabled now is because it seems, from my view, that Zoom is understanding that people are using Zoom not just as a meeting tool, but they're also using it as a production tool. Because if you record all these different files, then you can use those files to organize the content in different ways. So for example, you can also get all the audio files separately. So today I've been speaking, Amir has been speaking, and we could get those files separately. So then if we want to create a nice audio mix, we can go into a program and process those two files differently. So we can have the best sound for each one of them. And the same thing. So if you have like the PowerPoint presentation, you can have it, you can have a recording of that presentation without having the video. And then in editing, you can select the exact points when you want to show that, or maybe you can put one next to another. You can do a lot of interesting things. And this was something that I was talking about with Amir a couple of days ago, the whole production level. Remember, Amir?
I remember that, and it was so nice seeing what is possible. Like I don't have any experience using the program that you use for post editing, but the fact that I know it exists, it is actually a good motivation to say, okay, maybe I want to try that. Like it just speaks to the quality of your teaching as a teacher. So, and most of them I think are very, or could be easy to use and easy to learn if you have the motivation to use it, if you see the value of having a high quality recording of your teaching.
Yeah, and what I think is very interesting is just as we were looking at the technologies and how you can use multiple technologies to create, come up with interesting strategies on how this will be displayed. This is the same principle, but now with the files, right? So you get like 9 files, and then you can think of different ways in which you can combine the different files to create a final product that looks different. Now, of course, that involves some specific skills. So it involves like some post-production skills, but we're going to mention that ETS can help with that if you're thinking of an interesting project. But now going into the actual editing, if you want to do the editing, if you make a Zoom recording, which is quite like the basic recording of the file, the whole presentation, then Zoom has a basic editing function. So you can go into the video. If you go into the website, into the Zoom account, and then into recording, and then you can edit the file, and you can easily trim the beginning or the end of the video. And you can also trim like sections in between the video. Okay, so this allows you to do like some minor editing. That's pretty much it with Zoom. It's like a basic editing function. If you want to do something more complex, you can do that in Camtasia. And Camtasia is a fairly easy tool. It's fairly easy to use, and you can find many tutorials on how to use it. Now, if you want to do something more complex, like we were mentioning, we can provide that service. And as a matter of fact, we're about to release open our Faculty of Education studio. So here we have different editing, post-production technologies, software, that we can use to play around with the ideas that you might have on how the video can look, and how if you want to add animations, or you want to combine 2 files and add a music track and different things like that. So if you want to take the post-production to the next level, you can connect with us. And we have the opening of the studio coming up. That's going to be next week, March 21st, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So you're welcome to come. You can see the space. You can talk with us about the possibilities of what can be done in the studio with the technologies that we have and the software that we have. And we will also have snacks and refreshments. Okay, and then when we go to distribution, how do we distribute the files, or how can you distribute the files? Zoom allows you to, there are 2 ways. You can do it through Zoom or Kaltura. So in Zoom, as soon as you have a recording, you will also have a link to share with people, right? So you get the link, you can create a passcode, or you can remove the passcode, and then you can share that file. People will see the video. And then, of course, the other path you could take is to download the video from Zoom. Let's say if you want to do editing or some post-production, you will do that. And finally, when you have the new file, you can upload that to Kaltura. And Kaltura has similar features to Zoom in the sense that it can generate a link that you can share with people, or you can embed that into a page and such. Now, something that we want to mention is that UBC has a new policy coming up that all the files in Zoom will only be there for a year, while the files in Kaltura will be there for an unlimited time. So you have to take that into consideration. Maybe if you're recording something that you will use just for one term or just like a small period of time, it's not necessary to do the whole migration to Kaltura. But if you're creating content that you plan to use in different offerings, you definitely want to move everything to Kaltura so files don't disappear.
Excuse me, Eduardo. Do we have any information on the space on Kaltura? Is it unlimited as well?
I think it might be. I'm not completely sure, but that's something that we can look into and provide that information. Yes. Okay, and then, well, finally, the UBC services that you have, as I have been mentioning throughout the presentation, is through AV or through us. Okay, so AV can help you can provide the service of lending the equipment, and of course also setting up the equipment. Okay, and then we can help more with we can do the consultation to help you make a reality the vision that you might have. So, you can consult with us, talk about the idea that you have in mind, and maybe we can expand on that idea, providing some solutions and some interesting ways in which you can create like a hybrid classroom or meeting. We will also be present in the setup, and we can also be there in overseeing the project and providing that support. So if you want to connect with AV, here is their email address. And if you want to connect with us, here's our email address. Okay, so we invite you to, that's it for the presentation. We like to finish inviting you to connect with us. You can follow us on Twitter. You can, if you go to our website, you can find the mailing list. And you can also find a form to book a one-on-one consultation. So that's our website, ets.educ.ubc.ca. Amir, anything else that you would like to add?
I don't have anything else. I want to thank you and thank everyone who participated in this workshop.
Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you. See you in the next workshop. Bye.
Bye.